In order to better explain what adjustment layers are and how they work, let's imagine a scenario in which we have 4 separate clips and want to apply the same effect to all of them. It is fine if you aren't familiar with how to add effects just yet. Nonetheless, this is something that you should learn before you start making use of them. So now I'm going to add an effect by going to the Effects panel and manually dragging my blur effect into each clip. This will be done after I've added the effect to the Effects panel. After that, in order to make modifications to my blur effect, I will first choose my clip, and then head up to the Effect controls to make it blurrier. But I want to blur all of my clips, so I'll need to pick each one once I add my effect, then go back up to the Effect options and make the blur stronger. This step will need to be repeated for each clip. As you can see, this may become very time-consuming, particularly if you have already edited the footage into a million different pieces, and it is already broken up into small pieces. And now things are in an even more precarious position. If I wanted to apply my blur effect to the first half of my first clip in addition to the others, I would first need to make another cut, and then I would apply my effect to the new piece that was cut out of the original clip. In no time, your timeline will get really messy and your project will take 10 times longer to complete. But luckily, all these issues can be solved with adjustment layers, so I'm going to undo adding my blur effect to all my clips. Now to add an adjustment layer, I'm going to go back to the project panel. Then I'll right-click in the project panel, hover over New Item, and select Adjustment Layer. The default setting should match your timeline, so just hit OK. Now I'll drag my new adjustment layer from the project bin under the track above the clips. I like to add my blur effect to then I'll drag my adjustment layers, and it changes duration to cover all the clips I want to add my blur effect to, and of course you can drag your adjustment layer to reposition it over the clips you want. Now whatever effect I add to this adjustment layer is going to also add the effect to any clips underneath it. So for example, I'll add my blur effect to the adjustment layer. Then with my adjustment layer selected, I'll go up to Effect Controls, and in here, I'll increase the blurriness of the effect on the adjustment layer. Okay, and now when I scrub through this, you can see that anything underneath my adjustment layer is blurred out. Notice how I can run my adjustment layer through the middle of a clip, and my blur effect will only start once the playhead gets the adjustment layer. No need for adding my effect to a bunch of different cutout clips. I did it all with a single adjustment layer. With this adjustment layer, I can add multiple effects to it, or I could change or delete my effects without having to go in and edit each clip. The great thing about adjustment layer is that Premiere Pro lets you do a bunch of different things with them, like add animation and even color grade all on the single layer. One last thing to keep in mind is that if you have multiple clips underneath your adjustment layer, it will affect all of them. So yeah, adjustment layers are a pretty big deal if you want to save time and keep your workspace clean. Okay, and that's it for this lesson. In the next one, we'll talk about using adjustment layers to change the scale and position of your clips. Thanks for the love and support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.